We turn our attention to the Browns and dive a little bit deeper on the whole Myles Garrett, Jimmy Haslam not talking to him situation. Kyle Brandt, NFL Network Good Morning Football, with his take on Jimmy Haslam declining to meet with Myles Garrett at his request.
It's not a great headline because if you are the face of the company, as Myles Garrett is, and you want to speak to the man who runs the company at this crossroads, you'd like to see that happens, especially since maybe that conversation begins, if you're Myles Garrett, by saying, Mr. Haslam, I have loved being a Brown. I have given you 8 fantastic years, during which time you have given me 16 starting quarterbacks that have started for the team that I'm carrying. You guys pursue quarterbacks more than I do. So maybe you can understand why after 8 years, I might want to go somewhere else. And the part about, he's going to miss games and all that, and he's dug in, and he's got conviction. Do the Browns really want to go through that? After what they went through last year, after they've gone through with Watson, do you want to start training camp where the face of your company is holding out? Or do you want to start training camp maybe and look at all these fresh new players that we brought in, through free agency, but also with draft picks or future draft picks that we're going to get next year? It's fresh. It's new. It's a little bit like what the Commanders had going on. Save the ownership change. It's a fresh start. I still think, why would the Browns not even consider trading him? 8 years in, starting season 9. The fact is, Myles Garrett is probably on the backside of his prime.
As always, it's interesting. Let's welcome in G. Bush, Ultimate Cleveland Sports. So G. Bush, before we get rolling with that, one more time. If they trade Myles Garrett before the draft, they have to find a way to get under the salary cap. It's a $36 million dead cap hit. They're roughly $12 million under the cap right now. So you'd have to find $24 million. That means before you trade Myles Garrett, you probably have to get rid of Jack Conklin, maybe Denzel Ward, possibly Joel Bitonio, and maybe Greg Newsome. That'll get you in the neighborhood of $24 million if you add the cap up. So again, you can say all these things about, they can't do that to him. It's a financial thing where they almost have to do that to him.
Yeah, look, and don't get it twisted. Myles Garrett understands that if he's able to go and get himself traded, that's why he started talking about this all back at the end of the season around the Super Bowl. Is because he wanted to give them an opportunity in a time period where you can get yourself moved in a space and time where you have more suitors available. So think about it. Free agency is coming up here, next week? Guys are going to be filling roster spots. Guys are going to be on the prowl. Contenders, teams that he's been rumored to go to, the Eagles, the Commanders. All those teams are going to have to figure out, hey, listen, if Myles is not going to go before the draft, we need to start filling in some of these holes if we're not going to draft these positions. So Myles knows that the contenders and the teams that he wants to go to, those guys may be more willing to give up assets in terms of they can get the deal done now because, hey, if you dangle a Myles Garrett trade in front of an owner, is that more I guess lucrative? Is that more enticing than drafting some unknown kid? Sure, you might get a team to give you a couple number ones, but guess what? It's going to happen. He's not going to be able to be moved because, as we talked about it, they just had to restructure Deshaun Watson's contract. That's like the 90th time. I don't even know. Like, they restructured his contract so much. I'm like, did y'all finish paying him yet? Because they keep restructuring, and they got their little measly $12.9 million operating. Now, I made the joke. I said that's enough to pay the groundskeepers and some premium coffee in the executive suites. Other than that, 12.9 ain't getting it done.
Yep.
And so Myles is gonna have to wait until sometime in the summer. And the most interesting thing about this is this. The interesting thing isn't Myles Garrett. The interesting part of this situation is what Jimmy Haslam said. Because Jimmy said, look, hey, talk to AB. Now, he put it, Kyle put it lightly. He put it in the right light. Myles Garrett is the face of the franchise. Jimmy Haslam has been known to be very opinionated and even go to on putting his opinion on the table and even go into meddling a little bit. So for him to say that, And him to say, you know what? Nah, I'm cool. Let AB handle it. I got full faith in him. It leads me to say there's a little more confidence in Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski than one let on. And is this a situation where maybe we made this up? Maybe they not on the hot seat like that. Maybe they're, because if you tell Myles Garrett when he is really hot about getting up out of here and you say, nah, I'm cool. Me and D aren't going to meet with you. Take that we negotiate through our general manager. That says that's a lot of faith in your general manager, given the fact that he's coming off the Deshaun Watson situation, and that maybe they might have signed that silent peace treaty that said they might have not been on a Watson trade like that. Maybe it might have been Jimmy Haslam who said, let's do it, or Deeper Dessa, because guess what? He seems confident and content with letting this thing roll out right past the draft on into the season.
The other thing is, and you and I were talking about this beforehand, it's absolutely the right thing to do. You're in negotiations with Myles Garrett. There's one voice. You don't need 3, 4, 5 voices, and anybody that thinks otherwise doesn't understand how negotiations go. Right now, what he said is, Andrew Berry's our voice. And that, right there, that shuts down some of the dysfunction and nonsense before it gets going.
And they may tell him like this. I think this thing, if I had a crystal ball, I would say, look, they may give him permission to say, hey, Myles, you and your agent, if you guys want out so bad, go out and find us the best deal possible.
Yeah.
And you go out and find us a deal that may work for us. We'll sign off on it. But other than that, you're under contract for 2 years. I do believe that Myles has played his last down in Cleveland. However, the Cleveland Browns are in the business of not getting fleeced 2 times in a row. The Deshaun Watson thing is already on the table. They plan on fleecing somebody else now. They got to get some of them picks back.